right, well, I'll see you next time here on Hobbit Hoopla.
Chris,
I'm so dead.
welcome to Hobbit Hoopla.
Hoopla! Oh, he said Hobbit.
The unofficial
my God.
podcast of Middle Earth. We are back where it first began. This podcast, the Hoopla podcast, the Hobbit Hoopla podcast, started with Rings of Power Season 1, and we are mere days away from Rings of Power Season 2. So we got to do a quick little Season 1 recap episode here, get together with the Hoopla Croupla, talk about our favorite parts of Season 1, get ready for Season 2, and just bask in the absolute beauty of the fact that Rings of Power is coming back. So without any further ado, let me show off my lovely custom-made Hoopla mug that you can't... It says Hoopla, trust me. And now...
Oh,
Does
we
it?
trust you.
I'm sure it does.
It probably does.
Thank you for showing off the branded mug that people cannot purchase and will not be able to see on screen.
But if they could purchase it, where would they go?
No, it's great though. You're having a great time. That's all that matters. Oh, there you go. Hoopla.
If you would like one of these mugs, just email me and I'll get you one.
Oh,
And now
What's your email?
we're getting to the intros
it's
now.
hey, it's hobbithoopla@gmail.com for anyone that wants to know.
Please email us.
And that guy who's right on top of the email address is the lore master of the Hobbit Hoopla podcast, Andy Smith.
Jamie, Andy Smith here, connoisseur of many nerdy things, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and Lord of the Rings. I'm so excited that we're back with Lord of the Rings. And in honor of Lord of the Rings, I have this Gondorian knight standing right beside here as we start learning a little bit more going into Season 2 about the start of Gondor. I'm so excited. I'm going to be re-experiencing this alongside you, Season 1. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say. Did we love it? Yes, we did love it, but it's been so long. It's been so long.
2 whole years.
Feels like
Can't
longer.
even believe it.
Yeah.
And of course, he's been around this entire time, a full 2 years of being the official fantasy expert of the Hobbit Hoopla podcast, Chris Payo. Welcome back.
Fantasy.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to Middle Earth. Not quite as we know it, but we're going to find that things are changing for the worse here as Season 2 maybe takes a darker turn. But we're here to talk about Season 1, what we liked, what we did not like, and what we're looking forward to going forward. C3PIO, not relevant here because I am Ranger Pio, I guess.
There we go.
okay.
And he fucking nailed it.
I'm stoked to live for the next 100 and some odd years. Let's
At
do it.
least.
Hell yeah.
If not longer. Because you might be immortal, like the fourth and final member of the Hoopla Croupla, who up until a few moments ago was disguising himself as just a regular podcast host. But no, he is in fact the Dark
Sauron!
His power is too mighty.
Yeah, it's me the whole time. I'm now the Dark Lord. Episode 8. Here we go. Spoilers. Yeah.
It is a recap,
I
so
love
you
Slacker.
can't
Welcome
just
to the
like
show.
do that. You did great.
I absolutely love Season 1. It was great.
As you fire off a quick
Okay,
text
thanks.
about how much you love
And you-
Season 1.
Yeah,
Are you looking at all of your notes about all
I'm
the things
texting
you love?
everyone. I'm texting everyone how good Season 1 was right now. I'm that
Jake,
excited.
The only text you should be concerned with is this text right here. The Silmarillion. I picked up my copy from a local bookshop in Indiana.
local
Well,
in
it
Indiana.
is funny.
Local.
It is funny you bring up the Silmarillion because, again, Andy, what does the show lack in terms of rights from the Tolkien estate?
Oh, the Tolkien estate. They have not provided them the Silmarillion rights, but they do have the wonderful appendices from Return of the King. the last
take
couple
that.
hundred pages, and
Yep.
maybe
I'll
we
echo
should
that clap.
run through there. Maybe we can do a mini hoopla on the appendices at some point.
As we just read through the text. I mean, I have the book right
Yeah,
there.
you're
can just go
gonna
grab it and we
read
can
it
read.
to us, and we're all gonna react
Once
in real
upon
time.
a
Play
time.
SMR.
It's only gonna be a 4 hour read. Us listening to Jamie.
The Hobbit
I'm
Hoopla
down for
bedtime
this.
stories. I mean, okay, we'll do that next time because this episode of the Hoopla podcast, we have to talk about season 1 of The Rings of Power. So hopefully you guys have all watched season 1 of The Rings of Power. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you were with us 2 years ago to enjoy it for the first time. If this is your first time coming to the Hoopla podcast, the Hobbit Hoopla podcast, welcome. Every week, roughly, we get together, talk about all the cool stuff coming out. Whenever Lord of the Rings stuff is in the news, airing on television, we're here to talk about it. Star Wars, Marvel, we got it all. But my favorite right here is the Lord of the Rings. So I think we should just dive into our favorite parts of the first season of The Rings of Power and just kind of talk about some of the characters we met along the way, some of their storylines, and maybe towards the end we'll talk about what we're looking forward to for season 2. So
Sure.
I think we should start with the fantasy expert himself, Chris Pio. What were some of your favorite bits of season 1?
Well, I'm happy to talk about that, Jamie. I think real quick, as a blanket statement, I think we should say, as invested in the Tolkien universe as we are, and this show, it is where we got our start. I don't know if our recap here is going to be a full, like, if you haven't seen season 1, I don't think we're going to do it justice. I think you should go watch season 1 100% if you're at all a Lord of the Rings fan. And while we're going to touch on some high points here and some things we're looking forward to, spoiler warning, because we're not going to do a spoiler-free review of season 1. We're going full in.
As
we are
Jake
hoping
just
that
shared
you'll
with
watch
you.
Season 1. Yeah.
So if you haven't watched season 1, listen to this episode now, then watch season 1, and then come back and listen to this episode again.
It'll make a lot more sense.
Start with
Wrong
the
order,
Hallbrand as Sauron scene walking into Mordor.
Spoilers!
Okay.
Jake already ruined it halfway through. But with all that being said, there's lots to talk about here. Plenty of different storylines going on all at once. I think, should we start with maybe where we left off last season?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, we left off a lot of places, though.
Oof, there were a lot of places.
Where do I even begin?
What was your favorite storyline? Just it comes to your mind.
That will be our starting place. Whatever your
like
favorite
that.
is, and we'll
Exactly.
talk about that storyline.
Okay, well, we can start with favorites then. My favorite is at the progression of what we saw from the island of Numenor, this powerful race of people, these human elf kind of hybrids, descendants, whatever you want to call them, whatever the text calls them. I loved seeing Numenor, and more specifically, the leader of Numenor. Yes, we had this quasi-king who was kind of sickly the whole time and does end up passing. Muriel is who I am so invested in. She's got a lot of power, a lot of strength in her people, and a little bit of mystery as well. We learned later in last season about the Palantir, something we do know about from the Lord of the Rings originally, but they're still kind of a mystery too. Why does Queen Muriel have a Palantir? What is she seeking from it? Or rather, what is the Palantir giving to her in the form of these visions? So the most invested I was in last season was with Numenor and specifically Muriel and what's going to happen to Numenor, because if you don't remember, there's a big wave a coming. And
that
as we know,
tree's leaves are not going to be able to stay on too long.
falling down.
There were so
Big wave
many
coming.
trees losing their leaves in this first season. We had the elves tree losing their leaves. The Numenor tree lost their leaves. The other elf tree lost its leaves.
Must be
There was
autumn
that one
time.
tree that gained its leaves back thanks to the stranger.
That's
But I'll
true.
let someone else touch on that.
But yeah,
So,
Numenor was
and as we
awesome.
left off last season, Queen Muriel, unfortunately lost
the
her
eyesight.
is now blind, which is a huge character development thing. We're going to have to approach that with grace and figure out how she's going to fit into season 2. So I'm especially excited to see how she comes out of that even stronger, because she's already a strong leader. She already knows exactly how she needs to lead her people. And this Palantir's throwing in some, dare I say, visions as she's losing her vision. So interesting little parallel they set up towards the end of
So Chris,
parallel they set up towards the end of season 1 there, and I'm very excited to see how it goes.
You talked about Muriel and kind of the power that she has with her people. They all look up to her. There is a band that's almost anti-Muriel, anti her father. I'm really interested to see what that dynamic is going in, because Muriel is now over in Middle Earth, right? And near the Southlands, Mordor. Are you expecting Muriel to go back to Numenor? Like, what do you anticipate?
She
is back.
Numenor.
Oh, did she get back?
Back.
She got back.
She is in back.
Good job rewatching the season. Andy. You're up to date. With
Let's just say I'm experiencing it with you by your reactions.
Muriel made it back to Numenor.
Andy has never
Her
seen
father.
What is Lord of the Rings?
Andy watched The Acolyte again and is ready to.
I did.
Followed by Secret Invasion.
Oh, see, I was gonna make that joke, Jake.
You have to retire.
So Muriel is back in Numenor, and Pharazôn is still there. He's been riling up his little crew of followers, and I can't wait to see what happens with that little conflict between the new potential leaders of Numenor, as Muriel's father did die at the end of season 1. I mean, the whole Go ahead, Jake.
And Chris had, I remember last season, we talked at length your suspicions for Pharazôn, and he's been leading Numenor all throughout this period in which Muriel's gone away with Elendil. And now what's the status? What's the political status of the city, and how is that going to unfold? It's going to be interesting.
And Pharazôn is an interesting political leader. Like, he is using the populace. There was that one scene where he's riling everyone up while his son is on the side talking to Elendil, or Arianne, Elendil's daughter. Yeah. Which I really like that character, by the way. Pharazôn's younger son, the son, I think he's going to have a bigger role going forward in this storyline. The less
the blacksmith, right?
The less people that are in Numenor, the more. Yeah, what is his name?
Kemen.
Kemen.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Oh, we hate Kemen, don't we?
He's a little
I
shit.
I thought we liked Kemen.
No.
No.
I think
he burned the boat. He blew up the boat.
That's right.
Kemen.
Yeah, Kemen. Yeah.
But wasn't he making some strides? Like, he was learning a little bit. Give him some grace. Season 1 for a resurgence in season 2.
Minor setback, major comeback.
Exactly.
Maybe. He might be better in season 2, but I have low expectations for Kemen.
Okay. Now, Andrew, I'm going to put you on the spot here real quick as a lore master. Before we move on from Numenor, the Great Wave. Obviously, we have seen glimpses in the season 2 trailer, and of course, the vision from season 1. It is a true great wave, a wave of water.
Yep.
In the original text, is that truly how Numenor felt? Because, spoiler alert, Numenor is going to fall in some way.
If you watch Lord of the Rings, they're not there. They're
not exist. But is a Great Wave truly what takes Numenor out, or could this potentially be a mislead towards like a metaphysical wave of corruption or political strife, or is I think it really is truly a wave, right?
Well, I think it could be both of those things at the same time. I would say that Numenor becomes very fractured and is really done in the end by a great wave and flooding of the island. And how they're going to represent that.
Shattered Plains.
Exactly, the Shattered Plains by Jamie. I'm interested to see how they do that. are they really going to just destroy the island in one fell swoop? I think there's going to be a lot of interesting political intrigue that then lead to that moment. But I don't know. I don't think that's this season necessarily. But we're going to get visions. There's some mysticism going on. There's other forces that we have not seen so far in Rings of Power that I think are going to continue to push towards that inevitability.
They can destroy Numenor as long as we don't get another up-close shot of Morfydd Clark jubilantly on the horse, just smiling ear to ear.
Well, folks, we made it 16 and a half minutes before Jake brought up.
Let Galadriel be happy, okay?
That one scene, Jake.
She spent 5 seconds being happy the entire season, and Jake's like, she needs to be sad.
Well, okay. I also didn't love that scene, but Jake's brought it up way too much. Okay, I said it one time.
We're doing the recap. Okay, I'm bringing this back one last time because it needs to be said.
Jake,
you
already
can't
brought
be
this
happy
up
on a horse.
Jake,
Horses are
Elendil
too
is
scary.
the actor for Elendil is awesome, and I don't want to say anything else about that.
I will rescind my crying complaint about Elendil in the 6th episode. It was not as bad as I made it out to be. So I apologize.
Neither is this other thing.
A rewatch
So
on
No,
rewatch.
the other thing's bad. The other thing is bad.
Maybe on the next rewatch, Jake will be like, okay, I guess women can be happy. Fine.
Okay, well, that's very, very directed. Women can be happy in this universe, Jamie.
Bronwyn.
If
Like
Jake's
Bronwyn.
Bronwyn.
Yeah, Bronwyn can be happy, sure.
Yeah.
Bronwyn was not happy.
She was not too happy at the very end.
She did basically die.
I'm surprised she didn't die, though.
Die.
You know,
Yeah,
I
recap
felt
all
like
the people that should have died but didn't die. Bronwyn.
Yeah. Halbrand.
Bronwyn's son.
Muriel. You can say
Theo.
Muriel.
Isildur
Theo.
got crushed by
Isildur.
a burning
Oh wait,
house.
okay. The person
No,
that
Isildur's dead.
the person that
Isildur's
died
dead.
is the one that's not going to die. So we know that.
Right.
Yeah. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
Jamie, this
Isildur's
is,
gonna live.
Season 2 ended with a common theme, and unfortunately, it's one of your least favorite in media, the lying to the audience. What do you think about the Isildur trade? Obviously, we're going to see him survive because he has to.
Yeah.
But
Is it a lie though? You can't lie about that one.
I'm wondering, yeah.
I think they did a decent job because they made it seem like he died so that Elendil believes that he lost his son. But they also told the audience, like, hey, he's not really dead because, look, his horse is going out to find Isildur because he has this really intimate connection with his horse. And at the end, Elendil's like, well, no one else can ride this horse, so we'll set him free. Okay. And he goes to run off to find
Would this be considered
Isildur.
Beric.
A meta
Beric off
irony?
into the breeze.
It might be a direct. I can't talk.
Because it's dramatic irony if the audience knows the truth, but we only know it because it has to be real.
Yeah.
You know?
I would love to believe that Beric just took off to try and find that apple in the ocean. He's just got
apple.
launched.
Just he's going to do the
Like, never got to finish a quality meal.
he's going to do the Galadriel, go and swim across an whole ocean. You know, jump off that
he's
raft.
not- the Sundering
horse
Seas.
Sauron. Oh no. He's gonna find Pony Halbrand.
Yeah.
It's like the BoJack Horseman of Rings of Power.
What is this, a crossover episode?
What if BoJack Horseman is a prequel to the Rings of Power, which is a prequel to the Lord of the Rings?
Oh my god, we figured it out.
It's full circle,
Prequel
like
to
a ring.
BoJack Horseman. We figured it out. What were we
marvelous.
talking about? Moving on.
Jamie, what was
Moving
your
on.
favorite storyline?
My favorite storyline, thank you for asking, Andy. I loved the Harfoots. In season 1, we had Nori, we had Poppy, we had the Stranger, Wink,
Sadok.
not Gandalf, Sadok, also incredible. Marigold,
Rest in peace.
Rest
a
in peace.
wonderful mother. I love that storyline. And Nori was probably my favorite character the whole
Wow.
way through the season. She just had this awesome attitude with like this a calling towards adventure, and she's stuck in this small life with all the hobbits, Harfoots, and her relationship with the stranger. I love the way that it grew as she tried to help him, and she's always trying to influence him towards the good side of things. And as she's helping him understand the world around him and this crazy new world that the stranger finds himself in, Nori is a beautiful beacon of goodness to help show the stranger the best that he can be. And I thought the relationship that Nori had with the stranger, with Poppy, with Sadok, with Marigold, she was just incredible all around. And
With her father, like that relationship was wonderful.
with her father too,
Great.
whose name I
Largo.
remember.
Largo.
Largo Brandyfoot.
Yep.
yes.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I love the Harfoots. Who needs hobbits in a Lord of the Rings show? And you can have Harfoots instead.
Jamie, you brought up Nori interacting with the stranger. I love that dynamic on the second rewatch ever more so, just because all of our fantastical franchises are always about like the hero's journey of sorts, and it's kind of interesting to sort of see the flip where a child is teaching an adult. And I think it just opens up the world so much more when you have like this different perspective that's kind of unique. And I found it to be so fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a flip on the wise old man trope, I guess.
There's a lot of joy
absolutely.
too. They like when you watch through a lot of these episodes, you have a lot of the darkness that surrounds Adar and Numenor, and the Southlands, etc. But then you have these quick, pretty maybe 2-minute scenes where they pop back over to Nori, to the stranger, to Poppy, and they just kind of bring like a lightness to the series a bit that I think is really well needed, because often, in the Lord of the Rings, you have the darkness of Frodo going through the world and with Gollum and a lot of war and fighting, but a lot of the love that we have for this series is around the Shire, and they recreated that in a new way that's to me was fresh. I know some people thought they're shoehorning pre-Hobbits into this series, but I like the way that they did it. And to your point, Jamie, it's I think it really does come down to the few actors that just have such a good dynamic. Now, the stranger is an interesting part of this that we can talk a lot about.
You mean Saruman?
Oh, that's true.
Is
We have
he-
a lot of theories?
Is
as
he
to
the
strangers?
So
which blue wizard is he? Tell me that.
now we can't make any guesses. We
Is
already
it
did our guesses.
Radagast?
The season
he
one
Radagast?
recap.
How did Radagast shrink so much?
Come on now. All right. Now, Andrew, you make a great point.
Spent so much time with the Harfoots that he just got shorter and shorter.
Yeah, he was bending down his spine. His spine is just like he was doing a lot of
degenerative disc disease.
Now, Andrew, you mentioned a great point about the bits of joy that are desperately needed in a show that is just full of fire and shadow. But not all of the Harfoot scenes, Jamie, if you'll remember, were always joyous. In fact, that storyline was following a trio of very mysterious figures.
Oh yeah,
They didn't have much impact on the storyline, but they were definitely involved. If you remember the nomad, the dweller, and the ascetic, the three potentially ring wraith looking ass
Sauron.
motherfuckers.
Sauron.
I said one. I said that leader was Sauron for 4 months, and it was Halbrand all along. Halbrand got Galadriel and me.
And of course, the stranger rose up and eviscerated those three. But I don't think we're done exploring where they came from or why they were so mysterious and what exactly happened with all that. So
Yeah, I'm
curious
excited
to
to
see what
follow that
happens.
up because we see the stranger is searching for the like stars and trying to find a location on
Right.
Middle Earth based on the stars. And
The magic hat or the where were they headed? What was the lands of Rune, obviously, but there was a certain term or phrase to follow the
magic
stars.
place of Gandalf.
Always follow your
That's what it
nose.
was. Oh.
You're right. No, Jake's right. We'll follow. I'll follow up on that in the back.
Well, so
Yeah, I'm
those
excited
that
to see where that storyline ends. And when we saw the three mystics got obliterated by Gandalf, the stranger, whoever you want to call him, one of them had the silhouette of the Witch King. So I don't think that they're just gone. I think they may have been sent into what they called it, like the space between worlds, or no, that's Star Wars. They
world between worlds. Yeah,
Ahsoka pops up out of nowhere.
but
It is like
season one,
it's
they
a
mentioned-
spirit. Yeah, it's a spirit.
Yeah, they mentioned that
dimension.
Sauron's been, investigating this realm beyond the mortal realm, or whatever.
That's a good point.
And so
That-
I think those
yeah,
mystics
literally
are coming
brought that up.
back. I mean, we're certainly going to meet the Witch King at some point
I would think
throughout
so.
this Rings of Power,
Well-
whether it's this season or in future seasons. So
And the Witch King as a human. So we may
Yes,
have
yeah,
already
yeah,
met
exactly.
a number of those ring wraiths.
if I do recall correctly, we had a few theories out there. We thought that Theo may have been one of the ring wraiths, but time will tell.
The one thing I do want to state about the ring race, we don't know the names of these kings. So there are eight leads of men, but that leaves a lot of open room for it to be a Theo type character. Theo's not a king, but is he a leader of maybe the Southlanders at some point? Right? Like so I think we might be right on a few of the theories.
Yeah. I mean, we had so many theories, we have to be right on a few of them, including the theory that Aryan is going to build Barad-dûr, but we've talked about that millions of times, so we can ignore that for now.
Hey, Aryan, she touched the Palantir at the end of the last season. So
this is true.
She was looking a little
Yeah, that's
evil. So I think we can confirm that my theory is correct. But
Little
yeah, let's move on. So
evil.
we talked about the Harfoots and how wonderful they are. But Andy, did you have another storyline that you were really loving in season one?
I do, but Jake, do you want to jump in there for a second?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, got to do a quick shout out to Lenny Henry, who played Sadok in season one.
yes.
It is such a
R.I.P.
bummer that he is not returning for season two, unless if they're able to somehow bring him back. I don't care if they
Don't do that.
rewrite the
Somehow,
rules of
Lenny returned.
But seriously, he was such a good addition to
Yeah,
the
he was
show,
wonderful.
and such a brilliant, wonderful actor. Really a bummer that he had to
First
go.
theory music of season 2. The show opens on Sadok,
Sadok.
spreading mysticism throughout the tribe.
Wow.
And then maybe it fades to Nori, who's like remembering this, and then it goes to Nori, and then they're actually
Sadok forms into
Wow. Okay.
a long white beard, gets a little bit taller. Saruman.
Sadokman.
Sadok! Oh no!
I have pulled up
scandal
right here on my monitor the Google all the actors and their character names on Google for season 1 of The Rings of Power, and we have Lenny Henry. His character is Hobbit.
What?
What's going on here?
Come on.
That can't be true.
No.
Give this man
Did you
Sadok
did you just
Burrows.
spoil this for all of us?
Yeah.
You're
No,
not on
I don't think it's a
IMDb.
spoil.
Come on.
I'm not on IMDb.
Oh, okay.
I'm just
It's
on
not a season.
Google. They're like, he doesn't need a real name. We'll just call him. He was one of those Hobbit folks, I guess.
Hobbit.
But now,
Wow.
Andy, let's move on to one of your
Okay.
favorite moments of season 1.
Well, I was going to give more of a relationship. So and this kind of goes back in the Hobbit movies, I didn't necessarily love all of the goofiness of the dwarves, but like I loved Gimli in Lord of the Rings. They definitely went a little bit lighter and oafier and jokey with all the dwarves in the Hobbit trilogy. I still love those dwarves for sure, but there was something that was lacking there. And when they introduced Durin and Deesa, I think it took my show, the show. I was liking it, I was enjoying it, but it really felt like Tolkien. It felt like we were in Khazad-dûm. It felt like if we always wanted to see the bridge at its height and the dwarves just mining and being prosperous and living together, but still having why do they have poor relations with the elves? And they started giving that to us over those first few episodes. And then they began to layer in the surprising love between Durin and Elrond. And as that relationship then really culminated towards the end of the season, where, it was all about Mithril. The elves wanted the Mithril, we learned later in the season. And Durin the third, Durin the fourth, the father king.
Second, I believe.
Fourth?
Yeah.
The father king, he's not ever going to Durin the third. There you go. He's never going to give the Mithril over to the elves. He dislikes them. Threes.
Yo.
But then Durin the
Father
fourth,
King, but okay.
Father King. I thought that's a cool name, right? Durin the fourth then takes Elrond down and starts mining with him. Like there was just such a beautiful relationship between the two of them. And I didn't necessarily there were some relationships in the show I didn't think worked as well, but those two, and then Durin and Deesa, just made this for me. I would watch Rings of Power just so I could see those different, scenes, storylines of them kind of traversing Middle Earth together. Heck, give me a spinoff. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a beautiful amount of sincerity with the whole dwarf storyline, which, like you're saying, brings us back to that real good Tolkien stuff, not the Hobbit movie where it's a little bit goofy, but like we get in Lord of the Rings, where there's some goofiness that goes on with the dwarves.
Sure.
I mean, they're a funny people.
They're goofy. They're
They
having a great time.
They care very deeply about each other and about their families, and I think they did a really good job in this show of still showing some of the silliness, like when we first meet the dwarves and Elrond has to have a rock smashing contest, just to prove to Durin that he's actually sorry for not showing up for 20 years, and then we have these beautiful emotional scenes with Deesa and Elrond talking about their friendship, and we see the kids, and we get another goofy scene where the kid comes running out with a giant helmet on his head. And
Jake? This is great. We're actually going to be able to see his kids without the masks this season. That's going to be such a good set of introductive characters.
Plot twist, it's Sauron.
No!
Jamie, what you just mentioned, the 20 years and why Elrond almost doesn't understand, why are you so angry about this? Yes, we're friends. You're one of my best friends. And he said, I just remember that one scene where he's 20 years. 20 years is a blink of an eye to an elf. But I've gotten married. I have kids. And the actor portrayed it so well. It makes me want to cry. It's been his life has changed since that time, and it makes sense why there would be just a different outlook on life. But the two of them do love each other, and I'm interested to see what that does when they start going to war, right? Against someone like Sauron. Like,
Oh, that
how
will be very
do
interesting.
the dwarves come to the aid of Elrond to save Eregion, even though they don't really care about the elves?
Right.
The father's not going to want to. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics here. And then Deesa is just wonderful.
Incredible. What a
I'm
voice
curious.
too.
They do this. A lot of sincerity comes from the fact that, well, the dwarves are at peace. They're alone in their mountains, but everything's okay.
Closed
They're
off.
mining. They're prosperous. They have sunlight radiating through their caverns, which is such a cool detail. In the two things that we've seen from the two pieces of media we have about dwarves, the Lord of the Rings and obviously the Hobbit, which is primarily about the strife of the dwarves, they don't really have a place to call home. And matter of fact, they don't have these families. They don't have these children that we get to see on screen. Gimli, with the most prominent dwarf in Lord of the Rings, I guess, in general media, we see him walk into the halls of his old family and namesake, and they're all dead. And he didn't know that when he was walking in. So I think a lot of the sincerity comes from the fact that we are seeing the dwarves as they should be. They're alone in their holes, and they're okay with that. But that means that is their best opportunity to spread joy and love. And when we go to war this season, I think it's going to be really a testament both to the actors as well as the character development of what's going to happen.
But do you also
Yeah.
do you also blame Durin the Third, where the
No.
elves have turned
No,
on
and
them, and that makes sense. And the king of the elves, they knew that they had Mithril. Celebrimbor knew that. They used the naivety of Elrond and his love of the dwarves to get access to that. So it makes sense as to why these factions, they don't trust one another.
Evolve the way they do. Yeah. No, I love that Deesa was just a good logical soundboard for Durin throughout the whole show, and she was also just an elation in every scene. I thought she was just super fun to watch and listen to. But then you also have Durin's father, who's such like a sagacious, like well entrenched in dwarven history leader.
Hell yeah. I'm just impressed by these words. Keep going, Mr. GRE.
Yeah. Thank you. Now I have to stop. I've reached my limit. You ruined my streak. You ruined my streak.
The king is
good. He does things. Rocks.
He's sad, angry, happy, bad.
No, but actually, but seriously, the King Durin is just such an incredible character to have that just really puts Durin in his place. And it's great to see that Durin is ambitious for the dwarves, but he knows that this is a precarious situation and that the dwarves need to really focus on themselves before helping the rest of Middle Earth. And I love that. I love that back and forth. It was so interesting.
And why, like, isolationism, right? Like, they are prospering in the mountain. And when they leave, they are often fighting orcs and dying. And why would you leave Khazad-dûm? Why would you introduce this? And those are really interesting themes that you can play on. But
and I think
we know what happens in the future.
What we noticed in the first season from a few of these leaders, especially King Durin, is like they're correct. They're not making these like irrational decisions that we as viewers see like, oh, what a dumb thing for that king to do. Of course,
right.
We're on the side of Elrond and younger Durin. They should oppose the king because they need to save the world. We're like, from King Durin's perspective, he's making the right call. And I think we see the same thing in other places around Middle Earth as well. And in Numenor, we see the decisions that they're making and the points that Pharazôn is making of like, hey, let's keep our community safe. You can't fault the guy for his opinions.
Right.
He made two right calls. He's making calls on two fronts. One, not to mine too deeply and too greedily, as we know They are
Right.
doing
And then
right
Prince
now.
Durin's just
Of
like,
course-
we're going.
Yeah, they and to stay
Yeah.
on
The
involved
Balrog.
with the elves. Like this is a true leader, and the only other leader dwarf we've ever seen was from the Hobbit, and he was just broody the whole time. He wasn't really a leader. He was just like, I want my home. It's my home.
That
Do
was,
we see
Oaken Shield.
Durin. Do we see Balrog season 2 round table?
we
I
better.
hope not.
He's
Oh,
away.
really?
Not.
Yeah, we're just
I-
gonna have a tease
yeah.
in season 1. Balrog.
Yeah, I
tease,
want it to
and then-
sit there and fester for as long as possible. I still don't think we should have seen it in season 1.
I think that's true.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
I think that
I
I think
also
they're
agree with
gonna
that.
introduce him towards the end of the season, and so maybe
Maybe he's a nice Balrog.
the
Maybe
Yeah,
he
there you
just, he's
go.
a little sleepy after his nap, and he wakes up and he's just like, "What?
you guys looking for this mithril?
okay. Actually,
It's me, Benny the Balrog. Hello.
okay, Jamie. Question for you. I was fine with the way that the Balrog looked. It was interesting. They did do it a little bit early,
Oh, it looked
but then
incredible.
the leaf fell maybe 10 stories, and there's the Balrog. Like, how is the Balrog right there the whole time, and he hasn't been awoken? There's
Scale theory, bro. Come on.
It probably
there's
the
some
leaf probably
things
fell
that they could
like
have.
1,000 stories.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a 3-second leaf fall,
Bro,
but either
you
way,
weren't
You
in
want to
the
watch the
lines,
leaf
bro.
fall
Andy-
for 45
True.
seconds?
Andy,
It's true.
when you watch Rings of Power on 50 times speed, of course it's going to
That's
look
true.
like 10 stories.
that's true. It was all the way down where Gandalf, fought him and went into the ocean.
And then was
I'm
magically
excited
teleported to the top of a
to
mountain.
see what they do with the Balrog.
Yeah,
now
the
that they did
tallest peak.
introduce it in season 1, they have to do something about it in season 2. They
Yeah.
can't just ignore it for a whole season.
But they could. They could, though. They could let it simmer.
I guess
hope
if
they
they're
do.
bad at writing.
Well,
But-
no, but I think what they're
I
what
would hope that they don't rely on that as a tool.
no, but what if they introduce it? So they're going to have the Balrog in the season. The question is the Balrog the reason that maybe the dwarves don't get to assist Elrond, in a Region, or maybe only some of them can, or maybe that's the fight that Prince Durin wants to go and help Elrond. He does, but the king doesn't, and maybe that's the whole dynamic, right? Like you could do a lot of things with that because there is a monster underneath them as they're needed in other places.
Yeah, maybe some of the dwarves go to help Elrond and the elves, and that leaves too few of the dwarves left to defend their home from the Balrog, where if they had the entire might of the dwarven army, they
The
could
shattering of the dwarven
fight back
clans.
the Balrog
That
a
would
little
be
bit.
great writing.
So we should
Now,
write the show.
I hope that we don't see the Balrog. I hope that they don't rely on it. But in the season 2 trailer, we do see the bridge of Khazad-dûm get smashed by a giant ass boulder. So I have a feeling
Oh,
That's-
I didn't know
Really?
that.
Was it a fiery boulder?
have you not seen the trailer yet, Jake?
No.
What?
Really?
We're,
Yeah,
we're live in 3 days, brother.
I know.
Wow,
I
that's
was
actually
just gonna
great.
go
Good for
right
you.
in.
Ah, that's
Yeah,
incredible.
I was just going to dive in. I was just going to dive in.
Amazing. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of diving in, I think it's
Wait,
time
really
for
quick,
us to-
Jamie. We didn't say anything about the rings. There's rings, guys. It's the rings of power. This whole show is around the rings. King Durin's getting a ring, and it's going to be early in this season, is my prediction. Boom.
I'm going to piggyback off of that point. I think if we're going to use a plot line for season 2, going by the framework of the song we hear at the end of season 1, I think this is going to be the acquisition of the 7 rings of the dwarves, season 2.
Yeah.
Yep. That does
I
seem to
think
be
everybody will get their rings.
where we're going. We're getting
That would
more
be cool.
rings. We're at
You think the
3
men
right
are
now.
gonna get the
we're
rings?
getting more rings.
We're getting so many rings.
We're gonna get some
We're going to
rings.
hit double digits in no time.
Oh yeah, I think Sauron is starting new production on the Rings of Men and Dwarves. Like
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, we might-
as
Black
he
market
comes
rings.
in as the giver of gifts.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'm excited.
yeah. What's his name, Lore Master? When Sauron helped Celebrimborn.
His name's Anatar. I don't know if he's gonna
Anatar.
Anatar. I don't know if he will go by that name.
He goes
Halbrand
by
was a
many
new.
names.
He goes by many names. Halbrand was a new one, so we'll see if he does go by Anatar. But Anatar looks very similar to Halbrand. And
He looks like
Celebrimbor,
Charlie
I don't
Dixon.
know.
It's almost
Yeah,
like it's the same actor.
yeah. Jake hasn't seen the trailer, so he has no idea what we're talking about.
I have no idea what you're
So
talking
here's
about.
my theory. I have two theories about why Anatar looks the same in the season 2 trailer. The first is that because it's a TV show. The second is that
We're not that
Sauron.
disillusioned.
is he's actually putting on an illusion, and so to Celebrimborn, he looks different
Okay.
than he looks to the viewers.
I love that. I think that's a
So he's
really
like
good
in
idea.
That would be
Celebrimborn's
good.
head. So Celebrimborn sees someone who just looks entirely different, but to the viewers from the outside, he looks like Charlie Vickers in a wig. But those are.
But
unimportant
as
theories.
he walks out in the trailer, and Celebrimbor sees this almost light, this fire, and you see kind of the eye walk towards him, and it's Anatar. I just love that imagery of like he's the savior coming to save Eregion, which is odd because he was just there, and that's the confusion that they really need to do this well, or I could see
And,
it be a big missed
you can
opportunity.
see in his eyes there's like some evil back there now. Now that you know who he is,
Yeah.
you can see in his face that there's evil in Anatar's eyes. But that's all
Balrog.
we're going to get in season 2. We can talk about that later. Right now, we need to talk about Jake's favorite moment from season 1.
Oh man,
He's been keeping it secret from us.
So many good ones. We were talking relationships. I want to go in so many different directions with this, but we were talking relationships, and I love the Galadriel Halbrand relationship.
Yeah.
It is so good. So when I first watched this, I just thought it was kind of like they were just more tolerating one another, and I didn't really understand as to why Halbrand took so long to just be himself. I mean, obviously he's trying to hide it because he doesn't want anyone to know he's Sauron, but his intent to like wed and be with Galadriel and her denying him that opportunity is what drives him into complete madness is so good. It's so good because, like, what would that Sauron have been? Like, what would that Sauron be by a Galadriel?
Yeah,
I-
that tag team
A
would
queen,
be
a
unstoppable.
dark queen.
Right.
Terrible
And
as
so, to see him then finally make it to the Elven City and then have access to all these materials to be able to achieve what he wants, and he just is overwhelmed by the lust for power, and he just. At the reveal is like, this is what it is. This is who I am. But
Sauron
that was
lives
great.
because of you.
Yeah, that was
line
dope.
stinks.
That was
I mean,
dope.
it's great. But
Are you, Jake? Are you
right.
kind of implying that maybe there's, some compassion or humanity, or like is Sauron, based on your second rewatch, just complete evil, or is there? Or is it more of just the lust?
I
and
do
that's why
think
he's so
I think there was
angry?
I do think there was a humane side to him, but I think it's like once you cross that threshold of like evil and wrongdoing, it's an uncontrollable situation. But I just found that to be so intriguing, as like he was such a credible source and helpful source for Galadriel all up until that very defining moment. And then, they both come to the understanding of what their intentions are. And then that just catapults into everything. I thought it was great.
I wonder if there is more humanity to explore with Halbrand / Sauron, because we know Morgoth, obviously the essence of darkness and pure evil across the land. We don't get to explore Morgoth all that much throughout the text or even the movies, but we know that Sauron is Morgoth's loyal servant. But that doesn't mean that Sauron has to be pure evil. So it's possible
That's
that
true.
there is some humanity. Maybe the more time he spends dwelling amongst elves and humans and the folk of Middle Earth, that humanity starts to kind of rubber band. Maybe we're going to get, considering Sauron is kind of alone now, I guess. Obviously, he's going to start ruling and building an army and doing all these bad things, but maybe we're going to see some internal struggle in season 2 where he's kind of wrestling with the fact that, okay, I am a loyal evil servant, but I did just kind of have the hots for this one elf girl, and there are some humans here that are willing to serve me loyally, so maybe I don't need to be this all-encompassing evil like Morgoth. But, in the end, obviously, we know he gets a little destructive and starts to take over the world. But
He's definitely not good.
right now, I think there is humanity, and that'll be interesting to explore. That's a good point.
I'm not sure if I agree with you guys that there's some humanity in Sauron. I do think that he was sincere in many of his interactions he had with Galadriel. Even, it sounds weird to say he was sincere when he was deceiving her the entire time. But I think his goal, he wanted to live a life with Galadriel and to have them be a team together to rule and to be powerful.
Yeah.
With her by his side,
And to do everyone that went
good.
against him, right, Jamie? It's like he has his intentions to take over and hurt who hurt him and hurt. So,
and he didn't want to force Galadriel to be his slave who he drags along as he becomes this all-powerful ruler. He wanted Galadriel to make the decision for herself to join him on their united goal. And so from that perspective is where I think he was sincere of Galadriel, you and I could be together. He was kind of leading her towards the direction of, if we're together, let's also be evil as fuck while we do it.
She passed the test.
She did.
you know what? Watching
Twice.
that though, Jake, how he over the whole season kind of played to her fears and to kind of pulled her in. It kind of helps when you start watching the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, where Saruman gets corrupted pretty easily, it seems like. And that does happen over a significant period of time, but
Right.
it's Saruman. He's the greatest wizard of the 5, and he turns evil. So, and now it makes sense as to how that could have happened.
Right.
It does.
Absolutely.
He is evil. So
I'm also going to do a quick special shout out to the scene in Middle Earth in the Southlands when it's almost like the Riders of Rohirrim, when the orcs are fighting all throughout the town, and then they come in with the chains, and Galadriel's flipping off the side of a horse, dodging an arrow. That was incredible. That was incredible. Why is this show not more appreciated? When I went back and rewatched this, it really just aggravated the hell out of me that this isn't getting more publicity. I did a little research, a little deep dive into the Reddit, and someone broke this down far more effectively than I could.
Oh God.
We're here for the next 45 minutes.
Jake, read your Reddit.
No, this is very
Got
brief.
a little
This is
article
very
from hardfactstruth.net here.
No, but basically Hollywood views or determines the success of a show based off its completion percentage. 50% is generally accepted as being a pretty successful show, has a pretty good outlook. Whereas, this had 37%, which is not great. However, when you compare that to Stranger Things, which sat at 42 in its season 1, I give Rings of Power hope. This
That's
show,
good.
season 1, had a $435 million budget. Coming back for season 2, $700 million for a single season is
700
insane.
million?
Is insane.
Almost
I mean,
100 million per episode.
By the time they complete this show, they're going to deplete the entire GDP of Valinor. It's insane. It's insane. Like, how are people not more behind this show?
I'm with you. I don't think money is the solution.
I think time. I think time, and this season is going to be able to allow people to get an opportunity to then, dive in. And we'll just see how it goes. Baby. I'm ready for it. We're already riding the Numenor wave. We're all here. We're all doing it.
Yeah, we're surfing that 100-foot wave like absolute surfers. I think that season 2 definitely has potential to bring in more viewers. And I don't know, like you said, 37% completion for people who started season 1, didn't finish it.
Correct.
I hope that some of those people come back for season 2. And it might be the case that as season 2 goes along, like on the day that it gets released, they're not going to see huge numbers. Like if season 1 dropped off that hard, the day of release, we might not see a whole bunch of people watching. But hopefully over time, if the season lives up to what we expect it to be, and if they write a good story, I think the production value is going to be spectacular for season 2. It better be with $700 million. So I think as the season comes to an end and word of mouth gets spread and people listen to the Hobbit Hoopla podcast and we tell them how awesome it is, I have hopes that we could get a lot of people watching season 2 of Rings of Power. And
you know why?
What we want.
You know why they're going to watch? Because we're about to see a fight between Sauron and Adar. And that
so
is
excited
why
for
I
that.
am here for Rings of Power
baby.
season 2.
That's a great prediction.
I think we're going to see a couple fights. And not that we should be comparing this show to others, but since Jake just did, I will. We just saw House of the Dragon season 2, which, had great merit to it. Lots of interesting plot lines and cool things to see. Big vacuum of battles. We did not see a big
people clamoring for it
scenario towards the end of season 2, and especially in the finale. And now with reports hearing that they actually cut battle scenes to save money, let's see if this $700 million can push Rings of Power into that space where we see large scale battles. Maybe do I dare wish for scaled battles on the size of that we got from the original trilogy? Who knows? We'll see. But I'm expecting great things, especially with almost double the budget.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. We're going to get great battles all around. War has come to Middle Earth, according to the trailer. And like Andy was saying, the conflict between Adar and Sauron is going to be incredible. We got in season 1, found out that Adar has killed Sauron in the past.
He hates him. That was a great scene too, the Galadriel Adar scene. Just
was
almost seething pain in Adar's face, but he talks about how he was the one that killed Sauron. I think that did actually. I think he was being truthful there, and so let's see what Halbrand does as he walks into Mordor.
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's going to be good. And I did see I watched the interview of Charlie Vickers on the Tonight Show or one of those late night shows a couple weeks ago. And they showed a 30-second clip of season 2, and we get an interaction of Adar with Halbrand. So he doesn't know it's Sauron, and Halbrand so it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm excited. I'm so excited.
3 more days.
Oh, man. It's gonna be so
we are getting
good.
close.
Chris, before we dive into the next thing, you brought up House of the Dragon. I also think that's also a very good point. When season 1 premiered, we had season 1 of House of the Dragon also premiering at the same time. There was another big show at that time that also premiered. Andor, thank you.
Dang, what a great
Yeah, it was a great time for television.
3 months of TV.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But
now
people devise their time. Yeah.
Yeah. But now, there's no major competing franchise show. So I think this
great
is a great opportunity right now for Amazon and Lord of the Rings.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
Mhm.
I mean, Emily in Paris Part 2 did just drop. So
Did it?
okay,
We got to end the podcast right now, guys.
I'm gone.
Honestly,
No, but I actually have heard that.
the
It's
Love is
5
Blind
minutes.
reunion
I actually
episode
have-
is on right now.
Oh, baby. I got to watch Love is Blind right now.
Yeah.
Too good.
I really do think this is a really good show, as we talked about throughout the entire season 1. I think a lot of the reason people didn't enjoy it too much, or why there's a lot of negative talk about the show, is for the minor/major ways in which it diverts from the canonical lore of the Tolkien universe. And I think if people can just accept that the show is not a word for word remake of the stories that were written by Tolkien, this is just a new story being told based on some of the ideas and concepts created by
Yes.
Lord Tolkien in his book right there. Then people can just enjoy the show for what it is. It's a new thing that exists more or less on its own, with interesting tie-ins to a world that we all love. And I like the story from season 1, and I'm very much excited to see where the story goes in season 2. So hopefully we can get millions and millions and millions of people watching.
I would just implore the showrunners to not let's stay in the same way that Dune was, kind of moved into the cinematic medium. Don't throw something in here that's totally out of left field. You can collapse 2,000 years into a 5-season or series, but I'm just hoping that if they do introduce Gandalf, that we all think that the stranger is, let's do it in a positive way that fits well. So when people then go and watch The Hobbit and then they go and watch Lord of the Rings, it doesn't feel off. We're not breaking something. It's still a natural progression, because standard viewers don't know that this is made by Amazon and is a separate set of rights, isn't a Peter Jackson property. It all links together. But
yeah, I think that's a great point of, like, if this show can lead into the movies without breaking any of the canon from the movies that we have, then I think that's perfect.
I think that's a
perfect
success.
I
entertainment,
agree.
because
I agree.
like, how many people have read the appendices to Return of the King? Not very many.
Hopefully
How many
the
people have
showrunners,
watched Return of the King?
yeah, hopefully
Millions and
McKay
a
and
A lot.
oh yeah, and that they're so beloved.
And
And-
that's a great message for the showrunners. You're so right. I think it's a little late considering the show comes out in 3 days, but I do think it's a great message.
Chris, there's 3 more seasons. All right, the Balrogs flying around
You're right,
Middle
you're
Earth,
right.
blowing things up.
3
You
more
know.
seasons.
The opening scene of season
and-
2, the stranger's going to say, "Well, my name's Gandalf now, and here's a firework."
It's funny, we always keep referencing the original trilogy and then, of course, the Hobbit trilogy. New trailer for War of the Rohirrim just dropped
Yes.
this week. We
It was
finally
so
have
good.
even more Lord of the Rings content coming to
So
us.
good.
Oh,
End of this year, Lord of the Rings is
Yeah.
back
So-
in theaters.
What is the timeline of the War of the Rohirrim? When is that set?
it's 200 years before
200
the ring.
years. Yeah,
But
Before
we'll do a different episode on that.
Yeah,
We'll certainly
that'd be
talk
great.
about that. I think all that's left to do now is talk about what we're looking forward to. Quick
Oh,
round
baby.
robin on season
Oof.
2 expectations.
Whew, I already said Sauron and Adar, and I've been thinking about that one so much
Well, actually, you're
for the past 2 years.
2 years.
For 2 years.
Just been sitting here itching.
Please.
I want to say what I'm most excited about, and just to piggyback off of Jamie's favorite storyline from season 1, it's Nori and the Stranger. We are headed east for the first time in the Tolkien universe. We are always talking about Into the West and the elves sailing off and going to find their peace. For the first time, we're really going to explore Rune, or really just the word east in Middle Earth. We don't really know what's over there. And we have been promised that at the end of season 1, the Gandalf. Can't say Gandalf. The stranger wants to.
It's not Gandalf. He's not Gandalf. I said it here.
We'll call him Stranger the Grey. Is that acceptable?
Stranger in Grey. So we're going east, and we don't really even know what's over there. Tolkien didn't even really know what was over there. He never really fully fleshed that out. So, and that goes back to the conversation. As long as they don't break any of the canon that's already been established in these great films that we've already had, I don't mind if they take a little liberties, as long as they do it delicately and don't break anything that's already been laid down for us. So
I think they can.
We'll see what happens.
I think they can do a lot with. We saw the Easterlings, the humans from the east that banded with Sauron and the orcs during the Battle of Pelennor Fields. I'd love to see them introduce a whole other human race. That they kind of did that with the Southlands
They're
bit
over there.
But what are Nori and the stranger going to find? I don't think anything positive other than Tom Bombadillo.
Did you just spoil my thing I'm most excited for season 2?
Is that the thing you're most excited for?
I mean, if Tom Bombadillo shows up.
Yeah, I know. We're going to sing so much this season.
Dude, I love Tom Bombadil so much. I can't wait. Hopefully.
Tombo Bombo, baby.
Tombo
Where's Goldenberry, though? If Goldenberry's not here.
Baddie.
Oh, Goldberry.
Baddie alert.
I'm going to quit the show. I'm going to quit the show in episode 2 if he doesn't wear the right shoes. If he's not wearing yellow shoes, then I'm out. Okay?
They gotta be yellow, dude. Oh, yeah,
Jake
I'm excited.
Doesn't know what we're talking about.
I'm gonna just rage quit with the rest of the crew blood. That's where I'm at. No yellow shoes, no podcast. That's where we draw the line.
All right, Jake, come over to my house. Read that book right there. Chapter, I want to say 6. Is all about
I just
Tom
mean
Bombadil.
the trailer. He hasn't seen the trailer, and we don't even know if he's in it. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jinx.
No.
Jake, what are you looking forward to most for season 2?
I'm looking forward to seeing Isildur go to the other Numenor. I don't know. We'll see.
The dead guy?
Yeah.
Jake, he's not in the story anymore. Right? You need to get over it. Okay.
But
here's what they don't tell you in that prologue to Fellowship of the Ring when we see Isildur. He just woke up like 20 minutes before that fight. He was just dead this entire time.
Beric finally nudges him.
Yeah. He's like, oh, where am I? Dad? Dad,
Are you telling me that this Isildur can grow a beard like the Lord of the Rings Isildur? It's not the same person. They're different. Okay?
You think Theo steals the title of Isildur?
He doesn't look like Aragorn at all.
That's true.
Actually, Elendil does.
He actually does it.
Elendil does. Elendil does.
A little bit.
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah.
It's an ancestor.
Yeah.
So lots to look forward to.
And to be honest with you guys, what I am most looking forward to for season 2 is getting back with the Hoopla Crewpla for a little bit of weekly Hobbit Hoopla action.
Hoopla.
To talk about the Lord of the Rings with my good friends every single week. So to all of you out there who have been listening to this episode, thank you for listening. If you haven't done your rewatch of season 1 yet to get ready for season 2, we got Hoopla podcast about every single episode of season 1. So as you watch along, listen to the Hobbit Hoopla podcast and do the same thing for season 2 as it comes out over the next couple months. Oh boy, I can't wait. So
if you want to join in the conversation, make sure to follow us at Hoopla Podcast on X, Instagram, and TikTok. We'll be talking about every episode as it happens and all the discussions around what's going on with season 2.
Absolutely. Yes. So subscribe to the podcast so you get notified when the episode drops. They'll be dropping shortly after each episode premieres on Amazon Prime, but get yourself a little notification on your phone whenever that happens. And we've never really done a season recap episode before, so our traditional way of ending the episode, I don't know if, Andy, are you ready? Do you have a quote of the season? Are you prepared for this?
Oh my god.
Or should we throw it to Jake?
Jake, I know that you have a moment of highest hoopla. Jake Laxer.
Ooh. Eleanor Brandyfoot, always follow your nose.
Yes!
Pretty good.
Great job, Jake. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Incredible. Tune in next week.
Yeah.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.